I'd like to share my testimony with you today as an example of how God was and is at work in my life, and how I simply needed to give God permission. I was baptized on the day that I was born because I was in danger of dying. From that day onwards, my parents took me to church every weekend along with my family. It was a regular weekly custom for which I'm now grateful. But in my younger years, I often did not want to go to Mass. Mass was not interesting or engaging, and frankly, I thought I had better things to do with my time because I didn't really understand that the Mass is Jesus' sacrifice. As the years went on, I flirted with atheism. I flirted with atheism not so much in principle, I had no good arguments to back this up, but in practice, I was living as though God did not exist. God definitely was at work in my life through my first experience in the sacrament of reconciliation and in confirmation. But these moments of grace fell dormant. My heart quickly moved on. I would go on to make many hurtful decisions, always thinking about how things could possibly benefit me. I was selfish with my decision making, and I didn't really care if others were hurt. I was serving the unholy trinity of me, myself, and I. In a word, I was a jerk to myself, my friends, my family, and to God. Life was not about love, it was about the next thrill or benefit. I broke God's commandments by falling into the deadly sins, and it would take a while to heal from all of this damage that I had inflicted on myself and others. But Christ gradually set me free. What really changed things for me was the example of our Blessed Mother, Our Lady, the Blessed Virgin Mary. As I entered the last few years of high school, her example really touched me. I'm not sure why, apart from God's grace, of course, but her example was interesting to me. She was someone who said yes to God, and look what happened. God became man, in her womb, at the Annunciation. At the wedding feast of Cana, she intervened, telling the attendants to do whatever Jesus tells you to do. Her example profoundly touched me, and it continues to do so. I found Mary's example mysteriously interesting. Mary pointed me towards her son Jesus in word and in deed. I realized that I could also magnify God, certainly not in so lofty a way, but in some way nevertheless. So I began to grow in the Lord. Things became much more peaceful, loving, and joyful. I'm definitely not canonizing myself, but trust me when I say that things are much better than they were. A real turning point came when a relationship with a particular girl didn't exactly pan out according to plan. At this point, I was left with a concrete opportunity to put Mary's example into practice. I then felt these words enter into my heart. Repeat, or say again, your consecration to my Immaculate Heart. Well, I didn't know it at the time, this would really become the key to my whole life. This was the North Star that I had been searching for. Mary was reminding me that I had given her my yes, and that God had a plan for me. I had made a consecration to Mary a while before, a promise to try and imitate Mary in word and deed. But then, at this point, to my sheer horror and fright, I began hearing a call to the priesthood. You see, priesthood in those days would have definitely been the dead last thing I would have wanted to do with my life. I was not personally attracted to it at all, and to this day, in many ways, I'm still quite surprised God called me to this life. I wanted a beautiful wife and kids, a fancy car, and many worldly things. Even to this day, I often think, really, Lord, you want me for this? But God did want me to become a different kind of father, to offer myself for his holy people, to lay down my life for my friends, to follow Christ who was calling me after his own manner of life. Once I said yes to this, I found that things then just fell into place in a remarkable order. I found a spiritual director who helped me iron out many of my flaws. I began to grow in the knowledge and ways of the Lord, and so I applied to seminary. I was ordained a priest. And I can say now that the priesthood is the most beautiful gift that God has given me. While there certainly are crosses, as there are with any vocation, I'm eternally grateful that God has called me to this kind of fatherhood. I can't count how many days go by where I think to myself, wow, this really is a gift for me and for God's people to be a priest. The priesthood is the continuation of the ministry of Jesus Christ. You offer the Lord's sacrifice every day, you forgive sins, you welcome the young into life at baptism, and you send them back to God at the funeral. Many priests agree that you really never feel more of a priest than you do in the confessional. Priestly fatherhood is truly an awe-inspiring gift. As vocations director and as a priest, I'm thrilled to be helping other men answer this call to go and lay down their life for God's holy people. May God bless you.